Listen, about time.
For what we're saying is that the NFL is nixing the Pro Bowl.
Yes.
It's about time. Because who needed this?
Well, okay, but how many times do we say, similar to the All-Star in Major League Baseball or NBA, how many times do we describe a player and basically rank like how good they were in their career by they were a 7-time Pro Bowler or a 7-time All-Star?
Yeah, they're not going to get rid of the accolade. Name Pro Bowlers.
They're just not doing the game?
They're just not going to do the game.
So they're going to do the skills?
I don't
Competition, are they doing the party? Are they doing the week of celebration?
The game became a joke.
The game has been a joke for a long
time. If you think about the
yeah.
other All-Star games and the other major leagues,
they're all a joke except for baseball.
But even so, the players that get named to those teams show up. How often have we seen that they get named a Pro Bowler and they're like, but I'm not going to play?
I mean, Major League Baseball that sit out of All-Star. Like
Shedeur Sanders played in the Pro Bowl last year.
Well,
and that's not throwing Shedeur under the bus, but that's like 3 layers deep on people that would have been nominated to play.
It happens every year, yes. That you get guys that are named to the Pro Bowl because they are the alternate for the alternate for the alternate, and it kind of waters down exactly what you're talking about to be able to say, hey, he's a 3-time Pro Bowler. Okay, how did he actually end up a Pro Bowler? Like, was he really named to the Pro Bowl, or was he like that 4th alternate that just... They needed a body, so here you go, dude. Here's a Pro Bowl nod.
Was it dooming the concept by putting it so close to the Super Bowl instead of putting it in the middle of the season like everybody else does?
I don't think it would mean as much if it was in the middle of the season. That's part of it. Like, it's the difference between...
But the people who should be Pro Bowlers aren't going because they're going to the Super Bowl.
Right, but like MLB All-Stars being judged by half of their season also isn't fair either.
Every other league does it at halfway point of the season.
Well, the other thing, though, that helps with the other leagues being able to do it halfway through the season is you're not only playing 17 games.
I mean, that part's true, too.
I mean, there's a larger
It's a little
sample
easier,
size.
yeah. It's a little easier to decide who the best players are in baseball after like 70 games.
Okay.
If you just say, hey, okay, we've played 6 games. Who are our Pro Bowlers? It just.
Then riddle me this: do it at the beginning of the season,
based off of the prior year,
the prior season.
The other reason why
like
it's
the Hall
just
of Fame
not,
game, which is I know is an actual between 2 teams, but replace the Hall of Fame game with the Pro Bowlers.
The problem that you're going to run into, though, no matter where you put it on the schedule, is the inherent danger of football. Nobody is going to want to. You could put the game in the middle of March where, hey, you could have 6 months to recover. Nobody's going to do it. It doesn't matter where you put it on the calendar. Unless you say, we're not going to play a season for a year and a half.
Yeah.
Everybody come play in a Pro Bowl. It's just there's nowhere you can put it that anybody is going to responsibly say, I'm going to go play in that game and go full bore and treat this like it's the Super Bowl, which would be incredibly entertaining if we could ever do and have 2 teams full of all-stars and have them go head-to-head. I'm sure it'd be a lot of fun to watch. I don't think it would ever be... The only way I could ever see it being possible is if they put football in the Olympics. And you had some other...
They did put football in the Olympics.
For like a minute, right?
No, it's coming up in L.A. It's flag football.
Flag football. That's not...
But hang on, Kelly, if you can show via 11, this is what the current state of the Pro Bowl is.
Yeah.
No,
that's flag. Yes. No, some people don't know that. Like some people have watched it like 10 years ago.
Because
watched
they
them,
don't want to get hurt.
Exactly, but some people watched it 10 years ago, saw them have helmets. It used to be kind of cool to show the different helmets that they all wore.
That was
with
a
the
cool
NFC
look,
versus AFC look. Like those were cool times. The difference was obviously the injuries play a factor, but you can't even really play flag football going half speed and not hope and hope there isn't like a soft tissue issue.
Yeah.
Like there's so much that can happen in this game. Like the Cowboys had a decent showing last year. Mm-hmm. Jake Ferguson, CeeDee Lamb, George Pickens, and Dak Prescott all played and were fine. But imagine if anything had happened to those 4 in what is not even a glorified scrimmage at that point.
Like got on the scooter.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what is the plan then? Are they not doing the festivities? There's no way they miss out on a week of like activities.
I will get the official information here in a little bit, but they are keeping the moniker. Like if you are named to the Pro Bowl, you are a Pro Bowler. Mm-hmm. Players selected will be invited to attend an in-person celebration in Los Angeles during the traditional weekend the Pro Bowl games took place.
Okay, but they're not doing any of the like skills games either?
Probably not.
You could still do that kind of stuff. Like there's no danger to that.
You would think.
So-
throwing competitions and
It is still physical exertion. You know what I mean? Like if someone is trying to throw something and they tear a bicep or in
yeah,
the
but
process,
I mean, you can't
like,
tell me that these guys aren't playing pickup basketball in March. Like there's always going to be some inherent risk to anything that you're doing, any
Correct,
physical
but
activity.
The difference there is they are taking on the risk themselves. This is the
Yeah.
NFL putting on an event that could lead to someone doing something.
I
So
have a question for the three of you as we start to wrap up this segment here. Is it time to do away with all-star games in general?
I think the NHL should definitely get rid of theirs.
I do too.
And it's not necessarily because like it's not safe, because they go like literally quarter speed, but that's also part of it. It's not fun to watch. It's 3-on-3. There's been like one maybe interesting highlight, and it's come from someone nominated to the game versus something that actually happened in the game itself. It just feels like a waste in the middle of the season, but I don't know. I could be alone on that from the hockey side.
yeah.
So wait, I have a question though
Yeah.
because didn't they? So this last year, the break was for the Olympic break. They
Yes.
used the All-Star break as part of the Olympic break or whatever. They
Right,
coincided.
yes.
The year before that, they replaced the All-Star game
Was
with
it
the
Four
Four
Nations?
Nations.
Right.
And that was a legitimate like
That was so fun to
competition
watch.
that people
was cool.
loved.
The problem with that, though, in both circumstances, and the Stars fans know this, is the Finns have been everywhere. It hurts the roster.
It,
No,
like
100%.
injuries were insane
No, but
in
so-
both the
so that's
Olympics
my-
and Four Nations and all of that.
So that's my I guess argument in
Right.
this case is like the whole premise of getting these all-stars together and playing against one another is because then you have the best athletes across every team all on one whatever rink or court or whatever field. But there's no impetus for them to play because you're not winning anything, right?
Right.
When you give them something to actually play for, like Four Nations kind of came out of nowhere. Like they just
they
came up with the
manufactured
concept.
it,
They
yes.
manufactured the concept, and yet people loved it. But at the same time, when you're playing for something, i.e., like your country, and there's risk involved, then, and not only that, like this is more games added on to those players' schedules
Yeah.
when the rest of the people are actually resting. It does have an implication on the second half of your season. Like that's not good for those players, right? Or those teams.
Yeah.
So it's a lose-lose, I feel like. Like, on one
Right.
hand, you have a game, an all-star showcase where no one cares because you're not playing for anything. Then you give them something to play for, and there's risk involved, and there's second half of the season implications involved.
Yeah.
So neither one is, like, a good alternative.
At
Mike, what do
some
you think?
point, one of these leagues is going to go to the nuclear option here. And, like, I feel like hockey would be a good candidate for this. Take your Four Nations, because it's a good concept. And clearly people enjoyed this. Put it in July.
Then
But
there's
then-
not an
yeah,
off
then
season.
there's
though.
no
Th-
off-season,
That's
and
the
there's
thing.
no break, there's no getting away.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like you need rest from and like how grueling
But I
NFL
guess-
schedules
then
Where-
you've
are.
got then you've
where
got
I
the
was
soccer
going with
of
that
it all,
is-
where they just go from one thing to the next thing to the next thing,
Yeah.
to the next
Yeah.
thing, and they don't get a break.
Yeah.
I think if you were to do something like that, you still keep your all-star break somewhere in the, like, there is still a week on the calendar where you say, everybody go home.
Yeah.
Get out of Dodge, stop playing games for a week, go recuperate your body for, like, I think you keep that, but put your thing where people are trying to actually compete for something that people care about somewhere outside of your schedule. But yes, again, like, can we like add a 13th or 14th month to the year? Like
Yeah,
that's
right.
that's the solution
March.
to this problem. Like
No, I know. But like,
Smart.
so two things. Two things. It is interesting that the NFL took this route first of all of them, because I feel like as much as the Pro Bowl has been under fire, it's also kind of been under the radar because everyone's getting ready for the Super Bowl.
I feel like MLB would have been the first one to head for the
I
exits.
disagree entirely. I thought
Oh.
the NBA was on the verge of it. The NBA is essentially just walked out and it's a glorified 3-point shooting contest.
Yeah, it's
like
horrible.
the MLB is the one that keeps putting on the showcase and the presentation. It's like we just had kids on bicycles come out and have their moment with the players on the
'cause-
field.
Yeah.
Like,
What's one more game? Like when you're playing 162.
And also, like, some of them are out there for an inning at most.
Or yeah,
or a
Jacob Latz
batter.
was there for a batter. Yeah.
So
baseball is perfectly tailored to
You just do it.
whatever. It's
Yeah.
one more. We're not trying that hard, but it's
Time
also
check.
it's also not that hard to try at baseball. Like it just, I mean,
Yeah.
think about the guys who have had successful careers. I'm not saying that all of them aren't good athletes. There are some elite, amazing athletes in baseball, but you can also be a not so spectacular athlete and be a really awesome first baseman if you have the hand-eye coordination to hit at an elite level. So if you want to be an elite athlete that plays at the exertion level of that first baseman for a night, for an inning in the All-Star game,
Yeah.
you can do that. You know,
Yeah.
it's a sport that fits this type of thing better and feels
Than any other.
safer than the other one.
I just think it's time for everybody to take a step back and go, is the juice worth the squeeze at this point?
Well, because
would
they,
say
they
no.
started doing these things eons ago
Yeah.
because not everybody was on TV.
Right.
It was an opportunity for, hey, here's one night where you can see all these guys that you've been hearing about and reading about in the newspaper. Remember those?
We don't need that anymore.
Like it's not the need for it is not there, but the tradition is baked into everything over the course of 50, 60, 70, 80, 100 years.
But that's why, to me,
it's
it
hard
works,
to get rid of it.
It works best in baseball for that reason.
Yeah.
Baseball still lingers in that era. And removing it also removes a tent pole of the summer in a way, right? Like, there's nothing going on. And yes, it stinks from our perspective to lose, like, a couple Rangers games to cover in the middle, like, when we're at the rhythm, finally, of covering them. And having that kind of weird 3 to 4 day window in and around the All-Star game where nothing's going on. Yeah, that is awful to kind of be in that position. But the pomp and circumstance of it, the energy, especially when it was here, you felt it. You know what I mean? Even though the uniform stunk, even though like there really weren't a bunch of Rangers on the roster, just going there and seeing the experience and getting everybody in there, you still felt like this is an important part of baseball as a whole. I don't get that feeling with the Pro Bowl. I don't get it with the NHL All-Star Game. I barely get it with the NBA All-Star Game anymore.
No.
But at least MLB
Yeah.
tries.